everyone, Summit here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I did over 3 hours in the survival solo just by using mag. Let me start off just by saying the mag is a criminally underrated frame, which a large majority of the player base still views as either a subpar or trash frame, mainly due to a single content creator whose name I won't say, but I think most of you already know who I'm talking about. Also, keep in mind that this run was done prior to mag's most recent buffs, because I'm a console plebeian, so we don't get them. But anyways, I'm going to go over the build real quick, and then I'll go into some gameplay. So the 3 weapons I was using during my run was the Torrid, the Meridetron, and the Zenisar. The primary weapon doesn't really matter all that much. I just happen to be using the Torrid. You can use whatever weapon you feel like you want to run with mag. Lots of people enjoy running the Lanka. I just happen to be running the Torrid. Doesn't really matter. You can use whatever you want. I wasn't really using my primary all that much anyways. In particular, I was using the Meridetron, and that's mainly because Meridetron is the best weapon in the game currently for dealing or just increasing the DOT of mag's bubble, because all that multi-shot of the projectile is actually calculated into mag's bubble, unlike regular projectiles like, say, the Soma. When you add multi-shot to that, it won't increase the DOT of mag's bubble, plus crits also don't increase the DOT. So this is, whoops, oh, there we go, back to the build. Okay, so essentially I was just using this build. The Riven doesn't matter too much, it's just extra damage. The roll isn't all that great for what I had to particularly be doing, but just running full damage on there. You don't need any crit, because crit doesn't add to the DOT of mag's bubble. And however, you can run multi-shot unlike regular weapons because it's a projectile weapon and it's calculated into its total mag bubble DOT. Anyways, back to the Zenisar, which is also extremely important, and I can't emphasize this enough. You need to have something to deal radiation damage when fighting the infested, because if you don't, those ancients are going to delete your bubbles and you're not going to be able to kill any infested past like an hour or 80 minutes. You're going to have a lot of trouble. So essentially you need to have a Zenisar with radiation, or like an Ignis that you can spam fire just to proc radiation as fast as possible. That's what you need to do. I happen to be running radiation viral. The build is, you know, just a standard Zenisar build, just status and prime reach, prime pressure point, prime fury, you know, the usual. You don't even really need prime pressure point if you want to run lasting sting on there. That probably would have been a better choice, because in all honesty, the Zenisar wasn't even doing all that much damage. Okay, and moving on over to Mag herself, this is the build that I happen to be using. However, this isn't the optimal build. If I were to go and run it again, I would do slightly less range and then add in a growing power for the aura, and then, I don't know, maybe try to take out the stretch and switch it out with either an extra survivability mod or some more strength on top of that. Okay, so I happen to be running Transient Fortitude just for the extra strength. Stretch for range of the bubble, streamline for efficiency. That's only at an 8 because you don't need any more than that. You can run it at 9, doesn't matter. I just happen to be using a fleeting at rank 4, so 50 plus 25 gives you 75%, and then you're at max. Intensify for the extra ability strength, overextended for more range again, and then vitality, that's just to stop me from dying. And I run vitality instead of redirection, even though redirection will give me more effective health. Vitality is better versus the infested because those toxin procs will get you, and it is a pain in the ass to try to survive with all those toxin procs coming from the fly things. I don't even know what they're called, but they suck. Okay, so just run vitality, please. And then prime continuity for some extra duration, because with transient fortitude and fleeting expertise on there, the duration is super low, so you want a little bit of duration, so I got prime continuity on there. I also happen to be running the arcane helm, which, if I can find where it is, it's under appearance. Arcane coil helm, which gives me extra range. I don't know how much, I think like 25% extra range. But if you don't have it, yeah, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. You can run another, I happen to be running an energized set of my Syandana, so if you want to run another energized set, or whatever else you want, a Guardian maybe. Now that Guardian was buffed, so you can run whatever you want. Sentinel was concerned, I happen to be using Carrier Prime just for vacuum and some extra ammo, but most importantly, I was running it because this is just true for all Sentinels. You get that prime regen, which is excellent, and I wasn't even running a full build. So you know, it's kind of up to you, whatever you want to run. Just make sure you got Prime Regen and Sacrifice on there. If you're using that with the Sentinel, you're basically all good. Also Vacuum, don't forget about that. As far as the gear, this is actually extremely important. I had health restores, and then squad energy restores, and most importantly, arguably the most importantly, is healers. Because healers, if you're within its aura range, it'll give you a 90% damage reduction, and that's to all incoming damage. So if you get a slash proc, it's going to negate 90% of that. If you get a toxin proc, it's going to negate 90% of that. Essentially, it's multiplying your effective health by a factor of 10. So if you got 10,000 effective health within that aura, now you have 100,000. Or if you got 100,000 effective health with Chroma before he got nerfed, but I won't go into that. That's for another video. Then you got 1,000,000 effective health. So the Ancient Healers are an excellent tool to have. Also, the Shield Osprey Spectres give you a little bit of shields, and they regenerate your shields, so it's a nice buff, especially when paired with the healer, because then you get 10 times effective health on those shields. Anyways, Spectres were also rather important, like actual Warframe Spectres. I happen to be using a Rhino with a Torrid, and that worked extremely well for dealing damage. It would just basically shoot my Magnetize, and then as the levels kept increasing and my personal damage fell off, his damage wouldn't fall off, and he gave me that nice roar buff. And Rhino in general is just a quite good Warframe Spectre to have if you feel like running something that won't die and will give you a nice buff every now and again. Run a Rhino Spectre. Okay, now moving on over to the gameplay portion of the video. As you can see right here, I'll start it off at like about 156 minutes in, so right before 3 hours. Essentially, all I was doing is camping back here next to the life support. It's best to stay, when you're doing in a survival, it's best to stay close or inside a room with multiple life support capsules so that you can rotate in between 1 or 2 capsules when you start to get low on life support, or when your damage starts falling down, or if you just get poor RNG with the personal life support capsules, you can keep up life support without running into all that much trouble. So back here I had my Zenistar, I got my healer, I got the Shield Osprey dude, and I got my Rhino Spectre right up there. As you keep putting down the Rhino Spectres, they'll scale with level, as with all Spectres, so his damage is going to scale, and that's how I'm dealing so much. Also, Maridetron is really crazy. Like, just with a single clip of ammo, you can get like 50,000 DOT damage per tick with the mag bubble. So it'll really help, especially versus lower levels. I'm sure you can go 2.5 hours easy just with the Maridetron, and not even factoring in enemy damage, them hitting each other, or the Spectre doing any damage either. Now, the other interesting thing about Rhino is that when he gives me the roar buff, whenever he decides to do that, that'll actually triple dip with my mag bubble DOT, and it'll keep the damage scaling for a really, really long time. Now, in regards to my what skill tree, what focus tree I was using, I happen to be running Xeneric, but I don't remember to keep up my 5 energy per second all that often, so I kind of need to work on that, because I'm still used to the old Xeneric where you just hit it once and then you get 4 energy per second forever. Anyways, but essentially I was using my operator, go out and grab all the personal life support capsules, because once you get that far in, essentially you're going to get one shot by any enemy, as they are about, yep, right there, 750. Yeah, they're definitely going to one-shot you. Even with the healer, it gets kind of sketchy because they can get close to killing you, and I'm sure some of the tougher enemies can still one-shot you at that level. By the time you get to about 190 minutes, they're going to be around level 1700 or so, and at that time, it starts to get really difficult, because even with the healer, you're going to get a one-shot no matter what. And at 190, I was still managing to kill them quite quickly. Luckily, with the Spectre scaling and damage, and then that triple dipping with Mag's DOT, you have just a huge amount of scaling damage, and she can, I'm pretty sure, go indefinitely in these missions. Because once you get to 190 minutes, it stops scaling exponentially and starts scaling at a linear rate. So by that time, it's 14 levels per minute each minute, all the way to 14 hours and about 20 minutes or so. It depends on what the mission starting level is, but it only varies by 1 or 2 minutes, all the way to level cap. And it's theoretically possible that you could get there with her, just it's not practical because obviously you're going to make mistakes, and trying to not get shot by any enemies all the way to 14 hours and 20 minutes is extremely difficult. Anyways, I'm going to stop the commentary here. If you guys want to keep watching the video, I'll leave the last about 10 minutes of gameplay here. And as always, I thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.
The longer we fight, the more successful we will be. Life support on the way. Additional life support has arrived. Tenno, extraction is ready. Running out of time. Consider extraction. Critical life support levels. Extraction is your best option. That should keep you for a while.
Transference still holding.
You are running out of time. Consider extraction. Life support incoming. Additional life support has arrived. is ready. Get ready for a capsule. Another life capsule is now available. You are running out of time. Extraction. Keep you going for a while. We will all share in this bounty. Hold out as long as you can.